You need to hear the truth. Don't you yearn for something unadulterated and pure, something real and true, untainted by our special brand of American lies and propaganda? From the cradle, we are raised to believe that anything is possible and the sky is the limit. Well, today we are going to speak truthfully about limitations. And the truth is, this U.S. men's national team is not good enough to be sitting at the top table. From the Federation on down to these players, we do not deserve it. It is time to call last stop on the great American hype train. Everybody disembark because I am about to shut this down. Now don't get me wrong, I love my country, every stinking inch of it. I am the most patriotic American you ever did see. But speaking honestly about history is something Americans tend to struggle with. And the history of the U.S. men's national team doesn't make for inspiring reading. Since 2010, the U.S. men's national team has played South American teams 36 times. Our record is 10 wins, 11 draws, and 15 losses, a 28% win rate. And that's with me rounding up. The only 3 competitive wins came against Ecuador, Paraguay, and Bolivia. In fact, the U.S. men's national team, over multiple generations, has consistently failed to get results against countries ranked higher than us. Except, of course, Mexico. The results against European sides are even more depressing. At the World Cup, since 1990, the U.S. men's national team has won once against a European nation. A 3-2 victory over Portugal at the 2002 World Cup in South Korea and Japan. That's only one time in 34 years, or 19 attempts. Our victories at the World Cup usually come against Asian or African sides, or, of course, Mexico.
La que anda bailando sola me gusta pa' mí. Bella.
That is not even where the sadness ends for this great nation. We must turn over the subject to reveal the soft white underbelly. Cuba, Trinidad, October 2017. The U.S. men's national team went down to the Twin Island Republic, not even needing to win the game as long as Panama and Honduras also lose or draw. Well, the Americans, of course, we lost the game to already eliminated Trinidad on a soaking wet night, but unbelievably, Panama and Honduras also won, so no Russian World Cup for the USA, and the manager, Bruce Arena, he would resign in disgrace. The humiliations continue as we head back to the 2006 World Cup hosted by
the Germans.
Nuremberg, Germany, June 2006. Ranked 5th in the world heading into the 2006 World Cup, expectations were sky high for the U.S. men's national team, but of course it blew up in our face after losing to the Czechs 3-0 and drawing with Italy 1-1 in a hard-fought and very bloody game. We needed to beat Ghana and hope that the Italians beat the Czechs. Well, the Italians did what they needed to do, but Ghana would grind our bones to make their bread, getting a 2-1 win over us in their first World Cup ever. Ironically, in their second World Cup appearance, 4 years later, Ghana would defeat us again, this time in Rustenburg, South Africa. Ghana would win 2-1 to make their first ever quarterfinal appearance at our expense. Lyon, France, June 1998. The Group F match between the United States and Iran was dubbed the most politically charged game in World Cup history. The hostility between the United States and Iran had been bubbling for quite some time. The 1950s overthrow of the democratically elected Prime Minister of Iran by the US and the UK, the American support for Iraq during the 1980s Iran-Iraq War, and the shootdown of Air Iran Flight 655 by an American warship meant that things could get a bit febrile at the Stade de Gerland. And boy, did they ever. Before the match, the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, told the Iranian players not to walk towards the Americans for the pre-match handshake. But after much negotiations, the Americans did the soft shoe approach, and the Iranian players gifted white roses to them as a symbol of peace. Unfortunately, that's where the good feelings ended for the United States as the Iranians won 2-1 in a major upset. The American manager, he paid with his job as we finished last in the group. Another mess and more shame. Why am I dredging up these moments, huh? Losses to Trinidad and Tobago, Iran, Ghana. Why don't I just shut my mouth, smile, and keep on hoping? Isn't our shambolic record against Europeans and South Americans enough, you ask? No, because our record against teams who we should beat isn't all roses and sunshine either. And don't we need to just play better teams to get better? No.
If you are still in possession of that kind of mentality, then you are definitely not ready.
Then I have failed you and I apologize. But let me be clear. Losses to Brazil, to England, or to the Netherlands do not define what is wrong with American soccer culture. The rot did not begin in some far-flung World Cup 60,000-seat stadium in France or South Africa. It started right here at home. All national teams are defined by their domestic talent pools. As a nation of 300 million plus, you'd think we'd be able to cobble together a few dozen young men to go out there and perform at a certain level. But population size does not matter when you have a nascent but growing soccer culture being strangled in the cradle by moneyed interests. Pay-to-play pushes out lower-income players and those that haven't fully decided if soccer is something that they want to do. Not many parents can really afford to spend a lot of money on something that their child is iffy about, so they drop it entirely. I grew up in the American youth soccer culture, and I remember at least a dozen young soccer players that had to give up because their families just simply could not afford the fees. Do you think this is how we get the next Neymar? The next Messi? No, this is how you continue a pattern of failure. We all need something to aspire to, and soccer is no different. The U.S. men's national team has been waiting for its messiah for decades. Donovan, Freddie Adu, Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna. Corporations, the media, and the federation and the wider culture hype these young men up to the sky, plaster their faces all over the place. But have any of them really delivered? Well, kind of. The Gold Cup and Nations League titles have adorned American halls, but expectations have always been for wider success. Success we can turn around and show the world as evidence of a soccer culture emerging from the dark ages and into the light. But year after year, we only see evidence of a gap in technical ability, evidence of a gap in team depth, and evidence of the gap in managerial ability. The evidence of failure in our soccer culture is suffocating. Soccer is a sport for all. At its essence, it is cheap and accessible to everyone around the world of almost all income categories. The American inclination to profit max and pay to play is choking the life out of American soccer culture. They are incompatible with the spirit of this beautiful game. With this latest disappointing showing at this summer's home Copa America, there has been an almost hysterical amount of attention on firing Greg Berhalter, the manager. And look, fire the man if you want. I have no special love for him or his tactics, but firing old Greg will not solve anything. A new manager will just be the latest in a line of band-aids applied to the broken U.S. men's national team, and indicative of what's gone wrong with the wider American soccer culture. Spending a ton of money on the shiny new obsession won't cure us of this affliction. If you want to truly root out the rot and free us from the shackles of arrogance and mediocrity, then we must do what's hard and look within. Thank you for sticking with me. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.